Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to a special edition of the Intellectual Soul Food Lunch Buffet, where we are talking about the verdict in the Breonna Taylor police killing. Good evening, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Intellectual Soul Food Lunch Buffet. This is Doc Rob, your sous chef for the next couple of minutes. This is not going to be a full show. This is going to be a rather short show, but we want to take some time to at least entertain what's going on in the world right now, particularly along the lines of the recent court outcome regarding the charges for police officers in the Breonna Taylor killing. Joining us today, we have quite a few of our students. I'm going to open it up. We've got Zaria Johnson, we have Taylor Burden, we have Chelsea Reed, and we have myself, yours truly. We're going to swap students in and out right about now. But I want to just go ahead and open the conversation up for everybody. Talk to us. This happened recently yesterday. We found out yesterday that the only charges that are going to be filed, or that will be filed, involve wanton endangerment of a building in the shooting death of Breonna Taylor. Students, how are you feeling right now with this?
I do agree that it's an outrage. I think it's outrageous. I totally disagree with everything that's going on. Unfortunately, it seems something that's becoming normal with what's going on. When we have these killings and these things that are unjust to us, and they just keep getting pushed by, but if it's, a different race or color, it seems like they get justice. So I would like for it to start becoming fair for our race. I don't know what it'll take, but I'm waiting for that change to happen.
Chelsea, what do you think about it?
Yeah, like Taylor said, it's just exhausting having to go through the same emotions for over 400 years, dealing with the same things just over and over, and there's no changes anywhere.
Zaria, why don't you check in for us?
What I can say is, like Chelsea's touched on, we've been dealing with this for 400 years. But personally, the earliest memory I have with just our race being treated unfairly was the death of Trayvon Martin, and that was in 2012. And it's still going on. It's sad to say that it's not surprising, but it doesn't make the fall any hurt any less. It still hurts, but it's not surprising.
I brought in a couple of others from the show. We have student Dallas Clemens, Chuck, one of our producers, as well as Key. Welcome. We're going around doing a quick check-in. Tell us about how you're feeling pretty much. As a student, how do you feel about the verdict that just came down? Tell us about how you feel even in regards to just your own notions of just being young, gifted, and Black, but now your life as a Black person in this country now may not be worth any more than $15,000, which was the bail amount for the officer who killed Breonna Taylor. We'll start with Key.
Yeah, for me, my heart not only breaks for her family, but it breaks for my brothers and sisters, my Black brothers and sisters. Like everyone has said, this has been going on for years now, 400 years, and there's no change. It's like no matter what we do, if we fight back, it seems like there's no justice, and these police officers are never going to be held accountable. So we really feel like we don't have anybody protecting us, in all honesty.
Dallas?
Yeah, I think it goes back to generational teachings of racism, and that's why we're seeing what we see today. I think we have, of course, institutionalized racism as well, and I think that's a barrier that we need to break. Of course, it's very saddening, and just like Zaria, my first experience with this sort of thing was with Trayvon Martin as well.
Chuck?
It's really big for me. Like everyone has said as well, going back 400 years, my biggest question I pulled is just why we want to be looked at as human individuals to be able to succeed on our own as well. And my question is, well, why can't we? Why have we always been held under this microscope under everything we do? And if we do certain things just in a little wrong way or in a way that those of that are white or of higher, like superior, if even if we do something that isn't just a little way the way they want it or see it, then we're held under this microscope, like I said, and we pay the price for it. And we've been doing that for 400 years. Like even back in slavery, like they used a slave to keep our other brothers and sisters enslaved by telling them that the way that things were going was scripted and written in the Bible as that was the way life was supposed to go when it wasn't. And my question is, like I said before, is just why? Why can't we live? Why can't we be human? Why do we have to be necessarily under or beneath you? Why can't we all just be equal and live and succeed at the same level? So it's just, that's how I feel about it.
Family, we talked about this in my other classes today, and one of the topics that came up was the notion of Black women not feeling safe psychologically, clearly not physically. And I'm wanting to know, talk to me about this notion of feeling psychologically safe as a Black woman in this country, especially seeing this criminal justice system at work. Yes, Arya.
Breonna Taylor's death and the fact that it has been so drawn out basically shows you that we're not as appreciated as our counterparts, as our male counterparts, and we're not as protected, we're not valued as much. I just came across a video of, it was a whole bunch of teenagers and they were just talking about their preference of dating white women and stuff like that. But talking about their preference, they're constantly dragging us down. So it's always something negative to say about us, as me, like without having to say, I like this person because of this. It's always, well, Black women do this, Black women do this. So we get it from the criminal justice system. We get it from the people who are supposed to protect us, our men, and a number of people. So it's like what Michael X said, we're constantly the most disrespected person on earth. So yeah.
I agree. I think we're a double minority. We're, first of all, Black, so we experience racial injustice, and we're women, so we have to deal with sexism as well. So I think those are intersections that make it unsafe psychologically in this country, because we are a double minority and we do have to deal with both of those things.
So you talk about intersectionality, and we'll go a little deeper into that as we move forward in the class. This notion, when we think about the structures, the layers, if you will, of oppression. Talk to me, any of you, about, I guess, when we think about power, we think about class, and think about gender. This notion of being the Black woman and this notion of being double minority status. Explain, if you can, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? The emotional processing of that, especially when such a powerful verdict just came out of court. And I'll add the extra cherry on top, if you will. The decision to indict with these weak charges was at the hands of a Black man, the Attorney General for the, I think, city of Louisville in Kentucky. How do you feel?
I mean, like Zaria said, we don't feel safe. It's like we're already Black, and then we're women, and so and then he's Black, and so for him to think that the charges that what is it called, the agreement that they came to was okay.
The settlement.
Disheartening. Like the verdict. I'm sorry, excuse me, I had a brain fart. But yeah, it's just disheartening. Like, and then I seen the video that Zaria was discussing earlier as well, and I was disgusted that Black men who came from a Black woman, feels this way about, their sisters, or like if their mom had seen it, what would their mom say? I don't know. It's really difficult, even though I've never personally dealt with, racism. I see it on a daily basis. Like, for instance, one day I was going to get some chicken nuggets and I got barbecue sauce and I wanted extra. And I told the guy, I'm like, can I get extra sauce? And he told me that if I was a dark skinned girl, he wouldn't have given it to me. And that made me feel away. Like, I didn't understand that. I couldn't process it. And I didn't even want anything from him at that point. Like, people really think like that. And it's really disgusting. So not only are we women and my lights are darker, like, it's always an issue. Yeah.
Chuck.
For me, it really hurts, and like she said, it's disheartening to me as well. One, because I wasn't even aware that it was a black man that came to the decision for the verdict. But two, I don't think we don't take the time to realize, understand how strong the black woman is, particularly the woman in general, but the black woman, being the caretaker for the world, being a mother, and just things that women have to go through pregnancy. Like, it's a lot of pain, and it's a lot of strength that they have to endure the natural processes that they do. So just to like overlook that and make them not feel safe and make them feel in a sense less of or less than, even within our own race, we call women these all these distort kind of names. I don't know if I can be explicit on this podcast, but
You can, because it's an academic
words
podcast,
derived.
you can say what you need to say.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we've derived these words. We call them hoe, slut, bitch. Like, it's just it's defamatory words, and I don't know. I don't understand how we can establish something like those kind of things for someone so strong and has to deal with so much on a daily basis.
So, Chuck,
I think you have to.
go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think you have to realize that, just like I said earlier, it is generational. Not only are, just like I said with the Willie Lynch letter, they're separating us between our age, our sex, our race, our gender, all of that. So when you have that passing on, of course, some black folks are gonna be like, okay, well, I agree with that. So when you're also having black folks who also align with these same ideas and also passing it down to the generations, you're going to get this stuff like colorism within your own community and just
It's
sexism
like
within
a
your own
bad
community. You're going to have all of that. You're going to have your coons, you're going to have your hodups, you're going to have it all.
So I appreciate that. Well, let me come back to this because I think it's important that we address a point that Chuck mentioned earlier. I'm going to put you on the spot because you're the only man here right now. We're going to get another one in here soon, I hope. But the issue here, you talk about how we use these terms, bitches, hoes, and so forth. And they are all tools of patriarchy. I understand and appreciate that. So I would like to know, what are you doing in your space and your gender, how you identify? What are you doing to police that? Or do you feel that you should police it? Culturally, we have very many texts out here. We were going to talk about it our first show, the notion of WAP, where you have Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B, and they are just going completely in on multiple stereotypes, the hypersexualization of black women. And now, in the wake of this tragedy that we've seen, I call it a national tragedy. How do you police the gender line in these matters?
Well, I feel that for me personally, I try not to address a woman by those names.
Right.
Back to what Chelsea said with the is it Willie Lynch? I'm sorry if I'm not correct, but those letters that being systematically and generationally put in our minds, and then just it formulating and like evolving over the years into like different definitions and different ways we see it. Like, I think that's what kind of happens here, and it's like we've been taught and told this over years, so now we take this own account, like our own account within. Well, if she does this, or if she looks this way, or acts this certain way, she's a hoe, she's a slut, she's a, all those, like, it's just systematically and generationally a trickle down effect. So I feel like trying, for me, policing it is trying to, established like that's a young woman. That's you shouldn't be calling a young woman out of her name, especially with those names. Even though generationally and just the way that things have been trickled down and set up, that's how it is. That's how it's seen. That's how it's.
I appreciate what you said, but I'm gonna give you. I got to give you the card on this one because you kind of threw it back to what we listened to when I was like in grad school. You was doing Crush on You,
yeah,
right? And I appreciate the throwback. Yeah. Thank you. But with that, this stuff is marketable. We are marketing, if you will, the I would say we are exploiting and we're marketing our Black women to the point now that we're making money off of their own victimization and we're making money off of their own objectification. Chelsea, you had a point you had to make. I'm going to bring Taylor into this as well. Chelsea, you were saying something? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Taylor, what do you think about this? We can't hear you, Taylor. Mic check.
About what you were saying about how
the objectification and how, because it's like, I think what we're talking about here is that today we are talking about, yes, the objectification, the politicalization, the disenfranchisement of Black women, the death of Black women symbolically, psychically, civically, with that of Breonna Taylor. But we also saw the same thing happen with Sandra Bland. My question is this going to be something that is just a moment in time, or is it going to be something that is this going to be the pivotal moment that we begin to take action, legislative action by voting? What are we going to do from this moment?
At the end of the day, I feel like you can't change somebody who doesn't want to change. So regardless of how people are acting and how people view things and how the world is going, I can't change you by telling you that I'm hurting because you're doing this or what I see is wrong. Like, that's not going to make you change. You got to change because you want to change. And I feel like what will make people realize and view things is education. We got to learn about each other. We got to see, okay, I see our point of view. You got to try to understand my point of view. You can't just go, okay, I got you, and keep pushing. We got to learn to understand each other because you can't make somebody change. You can't make somebody want to change. They have to want it for themselves. And we have to learn because they're going to, if they're raised a certain way, that's what they know. So that's what they're going to go by. But if they're learning other things along the way, that might make them think the other way as well. So now they have both perspectives and they can choose how they want to live and how they want to think.
So we had a student, I was hoping we could get her in. I don't know if Brittany's available, but Brittany made a very interesting case a moment ago. If Brittany is still out there, if she's watching, I would love to have Brittany come into the conversation. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this, and then we're going to try to see if we can get Brittany in. If not, we will save it for another time because I do know our time. We did say it was going to be a short one today. But we want to talk about this notion about the marketing, if you will. The marketing, if you will, of Breonna Taylor. We're noticing that people in social media, they have put memes on their social media feeds. Some have put, myself included, they have put saying Black women matter. We have all of this happening. What do you think about the social media activism, or is this hashtag activism? And do you think it's really working? That's I'm going to point that question to Zaria.
I think last show we discussed, or I pointed to the NFL using the Black National Anthem as a form of performatism, if that's a word. But I would say
performance. We call it performance.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's the same thing. Like, I seen celebrities, I can't remember from the top of my head, like they'll post like sort of like a naked picture of themselves, and then the caption will be like, "Fight for Breonna Taylor, say her name." Attention can be brought to the situation in a different way. I understand what you're trying to do, but this is so much more deeper than trying to get attention like that. You know what I'm saying? She was somebody who lost her life, who was killed for no reason. And now since yesterday was killed and nothing's going to happen. Like, no repercussions will be given. So it just seems like everybody just wants attention and clout off of her name. And she didn't die like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? She didn't die just for no reason, you know?
I think it's important to also mention, I don't think she would want celebrity in this fashion. I don't think anyone would want celebrity in this fashion. But she became a celebrity. I hate to call it that, but now a martyr. That's probably a better choice of words. So I think the question that I have now is, and whoever has it in the background, please cut it off. But I think the question that we have here is, what can we do to turn this into a moment of transformation? How do we begin to learn from this? Taylor, Dallas, Key.
Like I was saying, I mean, as far as being able to learn from it, I mean, you can't make anybody want to switch it up. But as far as like people posting her everywhere, I don't think a lot of people are doing it in a way to try to promote themselves. I feel like social media is their everyday life. So I feel like that is their way of protesting versus going out and protesting. So I don't think it's everybody. I don't even think it's a big portion of people who are trying to benefit off of her death. I think that is just their way of supporting her and trying to fight for a difference. Of course, there is that small percentage of people who are just doing it for themselves. I don't think it's a big portion or a lot of people even.
Key, you made a point earlier. You talked about the notion of, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to elaborate on it, because I think it articulates a certain rage that we are also experiencing. We are not the happy. I think you had a shirt that says, "We are not our ancestors." And so the question I would have here is, you mentioned a point of body for body. Go into some detail with that.
I mean, what about take one of theirs, because it seems like that'll be the only way to get their attention. The fact that these police officers are getting killed, that's getting their attention. Like, I don't know in what kind of way it's going to come out, like what's going to be the ending results. But like I said earlier, I definitely feel better when seeing that something is being done, because they're not on our side. They don't love us, so we have to love each other, and we have to have each other's backs at the end of the day. And if they want to start a revolution, then that's just what it is. Y'all need to get some guns, for real. They got guns, right? Y'all know they got guns. Yeah, I'm sure y'all don't got guns, but 18-year-olds younger, they got guns. They training their kids at a young age.
Yeah, most definitely plan on
they can just
investing in one.
Exactly. Like they're ready. I need us to be ready too.
Yeah, because you're going to be sent home in a body bag. We're not about to be playing that.
So it sounds like there is a big distrust of law enforcement in matters of protecting the black body, particularly that of the black women.
Yeah.
Can we
just take one and make them as an example? You know how happy that will make us? There's no examples being made. Everybody's getting acquitted. Everyone.
Well, I don't know.
Who didn't?
Now, what about the officer Michael? I forgot what his name was, but the person that killed the individual in South Carolina.
He was black?
There was a white officer that killed a black person in South Carolina, shot him in the back. He's doing time.
He's doing time.
Ain't enough.
I don't
want to be optimistic about this, but I don't think Ahmaud Arbery's killers are getting off.
So there's a lack of faith in our justice system.
No, I don't think they are getting off. I think they're going to serve time.
George Floyd's killer, they are in jail.
Yeah.
But for what's the charge? Manslaughter?
For Ahmaud Arbery, I think it's murder.
Oh, well, I don't care. I'm still not happy. I'm pissed off.
Well, I think being upset is
rage for people. Yeah. I've never experienced this. I'm starting to dislike people that are not black, and I've never been that way. Like, I see people and I just give them a look like, I'm ready. Karen, try me. Y'all hear me? This is live.
So we're going to clean that up because we really want to, we really need to go ahead. And I think the thing that we don't want to do, we don't want to become, what's the word I would say? We don't want to become dysfunctional. And I think the thing that we don't want to do also is feed into a narrative that we are not controllable, that we are not in control of our own actions. Now, please understand and please believe I'm a firm one that believes that I'm a strong proponent of self-defense. I believe in self-defense, but I'm also a pacifist. Having said that, I think the larger question that we have to ask ourselves going forward is, how do we take care of our psychological well-being? How do we start to begin to protect ourselves? How do we even have these conversations intellectually, if you will, but also through the lens of social justice and activism? I'm going to let each one of you have one last 30-second piece, then we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to start with Chuck. Go ahead, Chuck. You got 30 seconds.
Well, I think I want to piggyback on something my father said before he left. I feel like it starts with us first, mainly. Not your typical everyday African American living in the street knows about our the history of what's going on, or for that matter, cares to know. Just trying to break that social that ignorance in our community, and trying to get us all as a whole to understand. And if we already do understand, to recognize and actually care about what's going on. I think that's a major first step within ourselves before we even consider, looking at the oppressors and what they have been doing for 400 years. We have to understand. We have to get all
30
of
seconds, Chuck. You're like 2 seconds. Sorry to cut you
we
off.
have to community. Basically, we have to get our own community to understand what's not necessarily what's going on, but understand what has been going on and how it's really affecting us.
Thank you, Chuck. Dallas?
Yeah, I think we do have to look internally. And I think a lot of social media influencers should do that as well, look internally at their motives and why they're posting certain things, because we do live in a capitalist country and it seems like people are capitalizing off of the recent events. So I think that we have to look within ourselves and understand, okay, what are my motives? Is this performative activism, or do I actually care about this?
Very good. Zaria?
Hearing everybody else's responses, I kind of got lost in the question. So
30
say it one more
seconds.
time.
30 seconds. Tell us what we can do to wrap it up. But 30 seconds, how we can fix this.
Fix what? I don't know if this can be fixed.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if this can be fixed.
Thank you.
I don't know who said it. I don't know what class I was in, whether it was your 11:35 or 1 o'clock, but somebody said we just need to scrap all of this and start over. Obviously,
Yeah, we need to.
Obviously, it's not realistic, but I don't know if this can be fixed.
Okay. Chelsea?
Yeah, I personally don't think this is something that's, fixable. And if it is, we really need to start at the top with our government. Why are we having so many 70-year-old, 60-year-old white people in office? These are the people who were living during the times of Emmett Till. My mom was growing up during the time when Emmett Till was killed. This is stuff they're doing, their legislation, passing it down to us. I think we need to start at the top if we do want to start to try to dismantle this shenanigans.
Very good. Key?
Oh, I think we need to break generational curses. I don't know if there's any hope for that. I mean, I think God was clear that this was it. So, yeah, I don't know. Like she said, start from the top, realistically speaking, because they're not relatable to us. They can't relate, so they don't even know what we're going through. I think that if, we elected some different officials that were more relatable, then things would go differently. Maybe. I don't know.
Okay. And Taylor, you got to take us out.
Yes, so I agree that we, it might not be something that we can change, but in order to try, I don't think there's anything that I can do to change a 70-year-old elective's mind. I feel like we need to start with our generation. I need to get a group of mixed individuals, different races, different, and we need to sit and we need to talk. I need to understand where you're coming from, understand your opinion, and you need to hear and understand mine. You can't be defensive just because I feel this way. You can't get mad. We just need to come to a place where we can try to understand each other. And I think that might start to help a little bit.
Very good. And on that note, I would like to thank all of you for joining us on this short notice. We definitely feel as though that this conversation is one that must continue. Until then, I want everyone to do yourself a favor, take some time off, give yourself some time to compress, digest what you got going on. And we will be back next time with another round of the Intellectual Soul Food Lunch Buffet. Until then, be safe, be well, peace.